Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a common theme I have picked up from various interventions over the course of this summit, yesterday and today, is that the EU needs to be more confident and to play a more active role in regional developments, as well as on key global issues such as migration. We can draw two conclusions from these calls. One, there is an expectation that the EU can, and honestly should, act in shaping developments in the region and international fora. That is, the EU is considered a credible and capable partner that can positively influence proceedings. And two, that it is in our collective interest that we have a leading role in regional developments. European values and the EU strategic interests do not stop at EU borders, but extend far beyond. In such a moment of instability in the region, when your neighbor's house is on fire, you rush to put it out instead of arguing about who pays the water bill. Not only out of solidarity to your neighbor, but honestly also as an act of self-preservation. Unaddressed crises have a tendency to fuel further crises, which ultimately lead to entrenched fragility, instability, and violence. And at the center of the suffering, it's always people. So when speaking about a possible new refugee crisis, we need to have two dimensions in mind. One is how we respond to a crisis, and two, how we avert a crisis. Allow me to start with the former. Undoubtedly, one of the enduring challenges of the past decade has been managing migration and asylum in light of large arrivals to Europe of refugees and migrants. It remains a key priority of the European Commission and of President von der Leyen. The refugee and migration crisis in 2015 highlighted our collective shortcomings and the need for greater preparedness. Compared to a decade ago, we are now better prepared, equipped with a solid framework for stronger cooperation and solidarity. The agreement on a new pact on migration asylum is a key success, and it shapes a new reality of EU coordination and cooperation. The lesson learned was that individual actions by member states do not offer sustainable solutions. Our great collective potential can only be fulfilled when we stick together, when we cooperate, when we compromise, when we plan ahead as a union. And our process is not top-down. It's a common endeavor. It needs consensus. That's why it takes so long to reach the agreements. And it has joint ownership in all four corners of the Union. Migration will be managed together, or it will not be managed at all. The pact reflects this philosophy and has made the EU better prepared to tackle future challenges. No member state facing a sudden migratory pressure will be left to fend alone, as support mechanisms will be in place to enable member states to help. The pact also targets greater procedural efficiency and effectiveness with better screening at the borders, streamlined processing of asylum applications, and more effective return procedures. Of course, the fundamental rights of migrants are at the heart of the new pact. There are safeguards in place through standardized asylum procedures, screening procedures, vulnerability checks, and independent monitoring mechanisms. Next month, member states are expected to present their national implementation plans. As we have bolstered our relevant EU agencies, the EU Agency for Asylum and Frontex, these are now in a position to provide stronger operational support and expertise to member states. In all this, we must remember migration is not a problem to be solved. There has always been migration, there will always be migration. Migration is a challenge to be managed. As such, it requires a comprehensive approach that includes various EU policies and approaches. So it is crucially important to see what we do to avert a refugee crisis from happening. For this, we have to first recognize a universal truth. People do not flee their homes unless they have lost all hope for survival and for a better future. Of course, political crises are the key root cause of refugee crisis, and political crises require political solutions. This is imperative, as the situation at the Israel-Lebanon border remains explosive and the risk of further escalation looms. Without a sustainable ceasefire, as the previous speakers also mentioned, the volatility in Gaza can spill over across the region, and this is the time to redouble our efforts so that the hostages can get home and the people of Gaza can get not only humanitarian relief, but also a ray of hope towards a two-state solution. I would like to mention the European Commission committed this year alone 320 million euro in aid for Palestinians, including 82 million to UNRWA. But the delivery on the ground is proving particularly challenging due to serious security concerns. Now more than ever, we must ensure the safety of aid distribution within Gaza and work with those agencies still present on the ground. And I would like to finish with reminding European leaders have repeatedly called for restraint and the end of hostilities in full accordance with international law and humanitarian law, while also expressing readiness to help de-escalate the situation and continue to provide need-based assistance through humanitarian aid. The two-state solution is the only way towards a just, comprehensive, and lasting peace. Palestinians and Israelis have an equal right to live in safety, dignity, and peace, and the EU is committed to actively support and engage with international partners on concrete steps towards reviving a political process towards a two-state solution. Developments in our neighborhood remind us that our internal tensions and national interests lead us towards being inward-looking and short-sighted at a time when the region and the world needs a confident and outward-looking European Union. The Pact on Migration and Asylum gives us the foundation to collectively address our collective challenges in efficiency, solidarity, and decency. Thank you very much.